So moments ago on CNN, Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, uh, was asked a question about the shutdown, and he said, "Our national nightmare is over." And again, I am in that category of people who has to eat crow about Mike Johnson and his ability to do this job. He's been miraculous in succeeding, herding the cats with a tiny little majority. But I do wonder if he knows the historical reference he's using. Maybe he does. I don't know. It's like when people say the best and the brightest, and they don't know that in the title of the book it was used ironically. So I don't know. But to borrow the speaker's phrase, if you didn't like the shutdown, our long national nightmare is almost over. Although it has divided the Democratic Party like the Dickens, and we'll talk about that tonight. The Freedom Caucus issued talking points this afternoon saying this deal is the product of the Freedom Caucus. It's spectacular. So even though we don't know when the House is going to vote, and even though we don't know what the mix of Democrat and Republican votes are, the Speaker is quite confident that they'll have the votes to pass it in the House, and everything the can will be kicked down the road. Washington's good at very few things, and I'm in Washington tonight, and as you know, whenever I come here, I always have the same Kennedy, President Kennedy's line: Washington's the city of uh, northern charm and southern efficiency. They're not very good at a lot here, but they are good at kicking the can down the road. But nonetheless, the Republicans seem very confident they'll get the votes, and I no longer challenge the speaker's whip counts. He's very good at it. So most of the news today pertains to the fallout from the decision of 8 Democratic senators to defy. Let me say for those listening on the podcast, air quotes are going up. Defy Leader Schumer and vote yes. And there continues to be great drama between Jean Shaheen and her daughter, although the Shaheens, who are great pals, are masterfully playing down the conflict between mother, one of 8 Democratic senators to vote for the agreement, and daughter running for an open House seat in New Hampshire. But lots of drama around that and around New Hampshire generally, which we'll talk about, I think. But not much other news. A little bit of other news, but not much. So we're going to talk a lot about that, and we're also just going to do a little bit of we like to call covering the waterfront. Lots I want to ask our guest tonight, John Kasich, former governor of Ohio, former member of the U.S. House of Representatives, and a man who understands deals, congressional deals, and also looks aghast at the inability of Washington to take our future economic survival seriously by not really doing anything to restore fiscal sanity. So John Kasich will be here in a moment. Really one of the most public-minded people in public life I've ever covered. Just he's in it because he wants to help people. And as governor of Ohio, he tried to be governor of all the people, which is today in some quarters a novel thought. So John Kasich will be here. If you're here on the platform, you want to get in on the conversation, a wonderful opportunity to do so and to ask Governor Kasich a question. You can raise your hand. If you're watching on X or YouTube, John Kasich is, again, just refer to our guest. He extends the presumption of grace to all, and he believes in peace, love, and understanding. I'm not sure he knows it's the name of a Nick Lowe song. We'll ask him that. But he does believe in that. So again, no smack in the chat. It's a simple directive. Some consider it a request. I consider it more of a directive. Please, no smack in the chat. If you want to write in the chat, write epigrams, holograms, anything you want in there, telegrams, but no smack. All right. I'll run through a little bit of news. John Kasich will be here. We'll take your questions. We'll call it a day. And grateful to you for being part of the two-way experience. First, a word from one of our sponsors, and it's our new sponsor, and it couldn't be more timely. The folks at Chef IQ, now a sponsor of this program and offering you 30% off the entire site at chefiq.com if you use the code two-way. Getting ready to cook your Thanksgiving dinner. Last thing you want is it for be a disaster. So think about meeting the high stakes by using the products of Chef IQ. The USDA says your turkey's got to hit 165 degrees Fahrenheit to be safe. And there are a lot of you who think you can just look at a turkey and know that you've hit 165 degrees Fahrenheit, but no. But with Chef IQ, just insert the center, tell the app what you're cooking, and then sit back and relax. Maybe watch some Dallas Cowboys football. Hopefully they'll lose. Chef IQ Sense tells you when to flip, take it off the heat, even how long to let it rest after you've cooked it. It's basically like having a personal chef watching the stove. so you can hang out and watch the Cowboys lose. No more peeking, no more dried out turkey, etc. It's the ultimate gift too. So if you want to buy one for yourself or for a loved one, get 30% off site-wide. Go to chefiq.com, use the promo code two-way, and have at it. Thank you for your attention to that matter. All right, let's just bring in Governor Kasich because I don't want to cover the news without him, and I'd like to hear what's on his mind about the whole thing. So here, without further ado, as we say in Ohio, a gentleman from Ohio, Governor Kasich. Governor, welcome in. Can you unmute yourself, or you got a staffer there to do that? No, there.
Oh, come on.
I'm just kidding. Governor, thank you for joining. Very nice to see you.
IQ, though.
Yeah. Who's cooking Thanksgiving dinner for the Kasichs this year?
My wife, Karen.
Yeah. And do the gals come home? Your two young daughters?
Daughters and one boyfriend.
Boyfriend. Is he going through the Kasich ringer?
You know, I'm I don't have to say.
Is he subject to scrutiny by the dad?
Well, he's one of them has already been through the ringer, but not by me. And the other one is they're nice guys.
Yeah. Are they Buckeyes?
Make them uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable enough coming to my house.
Understood. Are they from Ohio?
No. My one daughter lives in Boston, and her special man is born and raised in Spain. Tennis player, lives in Boston now and get in graduate school. And my other daughter lives in New York City, and her special man is an entrepreneur in the music business.
Yeah. Well, so the next time you come visit her, I'll happily take you out for some hot dogs or knishes. But the most important thing is, do the two boys know to say the Ohio State, or they just say Ohio State?
You know, that's a good question. I don't even say the Ohio State. So
you don't? No. Governor, some people may not know. What are you up to these days?
Well, I just started a Substack. You could see it.
Yeah, what's it called?
It's called Keep Faith America, and it's designed, Mark, basically, I'd say ultimately to have a little fun and give people some hope about what's happening in the country. I started a business coming up on 7 years to help people solve some of their problems. I'm still speaking. I'm writing. I was just on your show to talk about a book I just finished. I'm just having a great time. You know, and a lot of people, they think, I'm in politics. Is there life after politics? Fantastic life after politics. Both when I left Congress and now, and I'm doing TV. I'm still on MSNBC.
Yeah, I see you there sometimes. I always try to turn up the volume.
Time.
How often are you doing your Substack?
Well, we're doing it every week, of course.
Every week.
Trying to put stuff up there. And, what seems to work, Mark, interestingly enough, is just me speaking to camera.
Yeah.
Giving my views on what the heck is happening. If there's something that I can get through. But I was also just put some fun things up, like we did something on Halloween. We had a lady who's an expert on Halloween. And by the way, I was Bobby Shriver, a friend of mine, is doing a film about Bono on PEPFAR. And of course, I was involved, as you, I think, remember.
I do.
The debt relief in Africa. I had a chance to, was interviewed for a long time by a guy named Jesse Dillon. And I was like, I want to ask you a question, but I don't think I should. But I really want to ask you a question, but I don't think I should ask you. He said, well, what's the question? I said, are you Bob Dylan's son? He said, yeah.
Wow.
And then
did he look like Bob Dylan, or he just went on the name?
A little bit. And then as time went on, I started checking out some of the old Dylan songs. I just did a Substack about this, a little something to camera. You got to serve somebody. Because, I don't know if you know this about Dylan, but Dylan was born a Jew, but he converted. He's a deep Christian. He reads the Bible every day, does about 100 shows around the world, according to his son. And this song called You Gotta Serve Somebody, it's a great song. It's cool. It's meaningful, as Dylan is. You know what Dylan is.
Every time I talk to you, you say something, no matter how long you talk, about 100 follow-up questions. But I'm only going to do one. It's my favorite trivia questions. What former NBA great hails from the same Minnesota town as Bob Dylan?
I don't know.
Former Boston Celtic great Kevin McHale. Hibbing, Minnesota.
I'm on this ongoing fight in my gym about who's the greater, best basketball player. These guys all say Michael Jordan, and of course I say LeBron James. And it's interesting, Mark. Jordan won 6 titles. LeBron took took his teams to the finals 8 years in a row. Nobody had ever done that before. And I've
Yeah.
been arguing that Jordan became great once Pippen showed up, because before Pippen, he was not very good. And when he went to Washington, they didn't even make the playoffs. And they're
Yeah.
all, they go crazy, and everybody, we know this Jordan thing is out there, and, the lights are in, it's already kind of settled. And if you don't go with that, you don't know anything. It's interesting.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
LeBron's just so much stronger. I think that would be the tiebreaker. He could back you in and cuff dunk right over your head.
Yeah, can I then put you down as a LeBron number one?
No, I'm Bill Russell, but you can put me down for LeBron number
How
3.
about Will Chamberlain?
Number 2.
People say
Russell.
they say Chamberlain was the best ever.
Russell, Chamberlain, LeBron.
Yeah.
Then maybe Sam Bowie. Just kidding. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Let's talk about this deal. I'll run through the headlines, and you know what? Just kibitz. You don't need to. I didn't call on you. Just jump right in and say, ridiculous, or whatever you want to say. Here we go. Number one, this has been the big story of the day. There's still shock and dismay on the left that these 8 Democratic senators decided to make this deal. Democrats fume over deal to end government shutdown. 8 senators broke with party to back Republicans measure that promises vote on ACA subsidies later. That's the Wall Street Journal headline. Here is also Washington Post. Headline number 2, House Speaker urging chamber to return.
Wait a minute, Mark. Wonder how many people were happy. Democrats were happy that the government is going to get reopened.
A lot, but for some reason.
They're complaining about this, but maybe, I've spent a lot of time thinking about it. And as you know, this is not an easy call as to what happened, but I watched last night some of those, the 8 speak. I don't know. I was, getting ready to watch the Steelers play. I guess I did have them on, but I watched them. And what I picked up, Mark, is I think these 8, and particularly these ladies, I think they kind of concluded that this wasn't going to end.
Yeah.
That the Republicans were just not going to give in, and they saw these people who were hungry, not just sort of I say your typical people. That's not, I don't mean to say that, but there are people who have higher income levels who all of a sudden were going to the food banks.
Yeah.
And they saw all that, and they saw a lot of hurt and a lot of anguish, and federal workers not getting paid. And I think they said, enough of this already.
Yeah.
Because the pain threshold for them was getting too high. Now, I know there's a lot of criticism of them for doing that, but at what point was the pain going to be high enough? Because it didn't look like the Republicans were going to do anything. And now you're going to have a vote in December, and this will be healthcare will be a big issue come the midterms. But I think it's easy to criticize them, because I actually think, but I actually had a plan, Mark. Here's what I thought should happen. The Obamacare subsidies should be extended, but it should be limited to those people who really need it, not the people who make a very significant amount of money. Secondly, I thought that the Obamacare cost drivers ought to be examined and removed, and that way both sides would have a win. The Republicans can say we limited the subsidies. The Democrats could say, well, but at least we got the subsidies. And the Republicans could have said, you see, we're taking the cost drivers out of Obamacare. And the Democrats could have said, yeah, we should take a look at that. In any kind of a normal world, that's what would work.
Right.
And, I've been through all those shutdowns and debates and arguments, but we're in a different world now.
Yeah. Well said, because I agree with what you said about the Democratic 8, and I agree with what you said about what a sensible deal would be. And I guess what some Democrats are saying is you're rewarding the president for obstinacy. You say, well, he's never going to give in, but I guess they're upset about setting the precedent. So
he's not running again. The last time I checked.
Yeah.
I mean, at what point are we going to put the folks first? And I'm not disagreeing. I actually thought the subsidy should be extended. Look, I think Obamacare in many ways is just too prescriptive, and it's driven up the costs. And remember, I'm the guy that expanded Medicaid. I was the first Republican to do that because I thought it's about people.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean we need to be wishy-washy or weak or whatever. But, you look at these people, they were worried about their children. I mean, at some point, these 8 people said, we've had enough. I don't think we're going to get them to change. And they'll have to take it to the Republicans and say, why didn't they negotiate?
Yeah. If you were a king of the world, would you reform Obamacare, scrap it? What would you
No,
do?
I would reform it, but I tell you, if I were king of the world, no, what I would do, and you were going to be the prince, and you would
Yeah.
I would be king, you'd be
I'd more likely be court jester, but I take your point.
okay. I would put hospitals, which are the biggest cost drivers of healthcare, by the way, pharmaceuticals, insurance companies, lawyers, the people that you know, the nurses and those folks, and I put them in a room, and I would say, I want a plan, and the plan ought to be rewarding keeping people healthy rather than treating them when they're sick, primary care, behavioral health. There are ways to do this, and it will be tough because every one of those groups is powerful. Every one of those groups will say, what about me? And, you know, I think at the end of the day, you can get them all in a room to fashion a healthcare system that has the right incentives and leave no one behind. So with Obamacare in the short run, there are, as you know, there are prescriptions in there that don't make sense and drives up the costs.
Right.
And then this needs to be dealt with.
Right. All right. I got a million questions, but I want to show you a couple things. First is Gavin Newsom. How well do you know him?
Just a little bit. I have
Just a little bit.
knows him very well and likes him very much.
Yeah. Okay. Would you say you have a cousin?
No, a friend.
A friend. Okay. Here's Gavin Newsom talking about the deal. I just want your appraisal of sort of the cut of his jib, a political jib. Number 9, please.
Worried now, though. Sounds like some of my colleagues and friends in the United States Senate, some of my Democratic colleagues, just decided that we're playing by the old set of rules, not the new set of rules, and may have rolled over a little bit. So I love your question. It's the right question. I want to be part of that answer as an American citizen, not as a governor, as the ex-governor of California. But right now, we've got to hold the line because I think America will become unrecognizable in a year or two unless we fight back.
So you ran for president, and you were a governor like he is, and you're a student of leadership. Does he seem like a great leader to you? Is he someone you sort of look up to and say that guy knows how to lead a people?
Well, I think he's been doing better lately because he's been articulate, he's smart, I think all that. They tell me that he was, and I know this is true, he was a businessman, got into politics because he was frustrated. I mean, who is the real Gavin Newsom? Is he just a California liberal, or is he a businessman who, you know, is playing a liberal? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Democrats can win if they go to the left. I think Democrats can win if they have somebody who's strong, but somebody like the playbook that both Spanberger and the lady in New York. Yeah. And I think that it's, you know, the country is not left, and it's not really right. It's center right or center left.
Yeah.
And so I just think he might, you know, he might just be viewed as too much center left.
Yeah.
Are people in Ohio or in Peoria, Illinois, going to vote for the governor of California?
Right. In your like just your gut instinct, does he seem trustworthy to you?
I just don't know.
Okay.
You know, I'm sensitive a little bit about this, Mark, because, you know, it's easy for people to take pot shots, and I don't right now. I don't think he would be the Democratic pick. Let's see what happens over time.
I mean, I know you're sensitive about it, and I'm not trying to bait you into it, but
No,
I know when you ran,
yeah.
I think you shared this view. I tell you how I felt. I was frustrated on your behalf at people misjudging you, misreading you, mischaracterizing you, even though you'd run successfully, of course, for one of the biggest jobs in American politics. But there's just something about being on the national stage where sometimes you just can't convey who you are necessarily accurately. And I know Governor Newsom a little bit, and I see him mischaracterized all the time. So
look, what happened with me, Mark, it was the wrong time. Remember, Trump's a negative populist. I'm a positive populist. A negative populist is somebody who says the reason you don't have something is because somebody else took it. A positive populist sits down in the mud puddle with the person who doesn't have anything and says, let's work this out.
Yeah. All right, let me show you somebody. You tell me, is this person a negative or positive populist? Because this person's Definitely a populist. Number 10, please.
I think there is a deep sense of outrage and betrayal. And this is not just about progressive Democrats. This is across the board, the entire party. There are members of Congress who have won Trump-held districts in some of the most difficult territory in the United States, who walked the plank and took innumerable risks in order to defend the American people, in order to defend Social Security, Medicaid, and Medicare, just to see Senate Democrats even consider acquiescing to Elon Musk. I think it is a huge slap in the face, and I think that there's a wide sense of betrayal if things proceed as currently planned.
How will House Democrats and Senate Democrats work together now if there is such a sense of betrayal?
I think that creates a real challenge, and that in and of itself, I think, is part of what makes the leadership of this moment so crucial, because this is a decision about trust. It is a decision about trust and cooperation, because there will be a day where the Senate will need the House to move on something, and if there is an erosion of trust and a breach of trust, such as what is being considered right now, it will make cooperation
Okay, I
difficult.
think we've seen enough.
And we
Governor, what do you think of her as a potential president?
Not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
I will say this. I mean, she's an impressive woman, how she's been able to get into politics and make a very big mark. I give her credit for that. She's too far left. It's not going to happen.
On what issues is she too far left?
Where do I start? I mean, come on. She's a redistribution to wealth. She's hanging out with Bernie. I like Bernie. Bernie came to the budget committee, one of the most interesting hearings. And I showed Bernie a lot of respect. They're just way out there. They're way out there, Mark. I mean,
Okay.
taxes, government spending. I mean,
Okay, let me show you somebody else.
And let me just tell you that if
Go ahead.
Newsom has to think about how he wants to come across in the country. He can't just be, I'm against Trump. What is he for? What is he going to do to improve the lives of people here? What is he going to do other than, right now he's making his money attacking Trump. So, and he's a very articulate guy. He's an attractive guy. He's got a lot of things going for him. Again, I don't think he fits the values right now of people who think about the Electoral College and what you have to do. I mean, if you can't win some of those red states, you can't be president.
Yeah. Let me show you one more person. We're going to get to your questions pretty soon, because I know lots of you want to ask the governor questions. So please raise your hand. Here's somebody else.
Bashir coming up.
Say again?
I said, I hope you have Andy Bashir coming
No,
up.
I don't, but we can talk about it. Here's somebody else. I'm curious to know what you think of his leadership and his style. Number 12, please.
Just political malpractice. Here you have Donald Trump on the ropes, scrambling, trying to make some deal. And we basically say, well, we don't care if the premiums go up. Like, what do we stand for? So he needs to be replaced and step down. More Democrats need to be calling for that. The only reason they aren't calling for it, let me be blunt, is because you offend a lot of donors. There are a lot of billionaires. There are a lot of donors that contribute to the DSCC, that contribute to Chuck Schumer. But, we've got to make a choice of this party. Are we going to be beholden to the donors that have gotten us 2 terms of Donald Trump? Or are we going to listen to people?
What do you think of that guy? You know who that guy
I'm
is?
not sure what he was. What was he talking about, this deal?
Yeah, he was talking about this deal.
I mean, Mark, it's so easy, as you know, to sit up in the stands when you're not on the line. I think, again, he's an articulate guy. He might be, a valuable asset for the Democrats going forward. But anytime I see, someone who's just too far left, I just don't think the Democrats can win that way.
And you think he's too far left?
I don't know enough about him to say that he appears to be. And I don't like that whole thing about, these folks sold, they sold out and everything. I mean, you're really questioning somebody's intentions. And I understand why people say that. It's easy to say. It's just, look, I've been in the middle of all that stuff. And you know what? Sometimes when you see what is happening, I'll give you a good example. Remember when I was first elected governor, and I had a strong feeling about how we ought to make police and fire pay more for their insurance and all that stuff. And they raised all the money. They came in and they just beat the living crap out of me, and that we lost that issue. that night I said, well, the people have spoken,
Right,
let's
right,
move on. Let's
right.
move on. I wanted
Uh,
to bring up Andy Bashir because I think he has a lot of what it does take.
do you
I
know him
think
well?
I know him pretty well.
Yeah.
I like to talk to him. I really first saw him when there was a school shooting and I was getting ready to be on TV and I got preempted and I got to watch him and I was so impressed. I mean, I think what he has to do, in my opinion, and I have spoken to him and I know his father. His father is, I think, great.
Yeah.
Um, I think Andy needs to tell stories. He needs to explain to people the things that he's encountered
Yeah.
because he's not a bombastic speaker.
Right.
But can he be interesting enough to
Yeah.
be able to catch on? You notice he's listed on everybody that might be running. He is somebody that, and I'm starting to pay a little attention to Josh Shapiro.
Hmm.
I mean, maybe he'll run. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think Shapiro gets the fact that you can't be way one side or the other.
Right. All right. A couple things that we're going to go to everybody's questions. First, here's a vintage photo referencing back to something you said. Two handsome young men there. Is that the Oval Office? Where is that?
I think that was in the cabinet room, and that's a really interesting story because when we were doing this, I took Bono around to meet a lot of people, and we were trying to pass the debt relief, and I took him in to see Jesse Helms. And Bobby Schreiber was with me. He says, we can't go see Jesse Helms. I said, yeah, we can. So we go to see Jesse, and Jesse starts crying. He says, Mr. Bono, I wish I had done the kind of things that you've done to help people in my lifetime. And he signed on to the whole deal. Then I decided we needed to go down to the White House. And I remember calling Pat Robertson. I said, Pat, we're going to have a meeting down in the White House because we want to talk about this debt relief for people who are really, in a bad way in Africa. And he goes, well, he says, I've never had anything good to say about Bill Clinton, but if you think I should be there, I'll be there. So I call Sperling, who is now top advisor to Clinton. And I tell Sperling, well, Pat Robertson's coming. He goes, you can't bring Pat Robertson here. He says, all right, let me go talk to Clinton. Sperling calls me back and he says, you know what the president said? I said, no, what did he say? He said, you think he might really come?
Right.
So we had this big meeting there in the whatever room it was. And at the end of the meeting, there's Pat Robertson and Clinton with their arms around one another. And I looked at Sperling and I said, now there's a miracle, right? But Bono was great. And Bobby Schreiber's going to do a movie about Bar and aid in Africa. That was a great moment. And that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And something that would have a harder time, to say the least, occurring today. All right, a quick word from a sponsor, and then your questions for Governor Kasich. So stand by in just a moment. Governor Kasich, you ever heard anything from the folks at Cozy Earth? They probably sponsored you somewhere along the way.
Oh, Cozy Earth is one of my favorites.
Yeah, 40% off right now. Use the discount code two-way for on CozyEarth.com. Black Friday comes early. Pajamas, pants, towels. Of course, the bubble cuddle blanket, a personal favorite in the Kasich household.
Yep.
Maybe all the future sons-in-law should get bubble cuddle blankets.
Okay.
And the bamboo sheets, everything. It's all available now, 40% off. Go to CozyEarth.com and use the promo code two-way for 40% off. These deals, like Crazy Eddie would say, they're crazy. They won't last, though. So start your holiday shopping today. If you get to the post-purchase survey, tell them Governor John Kasich of the Ohio State recommended you go to CozyEarth.com. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Ladies and gentlemen, CozyEarth.com, 40% off. That's crazy. I'm not even sure I should be promoting this. 40% off. Use the promo code two-way. All right, here we go. Time for your questions.
Can I just say one more thing before we go to questions?
Of course.
Mark, because you said this wouldn't happen, hanging out with Bono, getting the Republican press, it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
What's happened is we've lost our leaders. We don't have very good leaders who know how to bring people together and to tell them the way they're supposed to behave. It reminds me of that time when Bill Walton showed up to a basketball practice and John Wooden was there and he had a beard and long hair the beginning of the season. And John Wooden looked at Walton and said, Bill, we're going to really miss you on this basketball team. The way you look really nice, Bill, but you won't be looking good enough on this basketball team. Walton went into the shower or the locker room and shaved his beard and cut his hair, and he ended up playing on the basketball team.
Yeah.
You don't have the leaders to teach people how to behave. And leaders impart values to the followers to get them to straighten up, to show respect, to do the things that we need to do. And it's not happening today. And it's not happening in many, many places, not just politics.
Yeah. Amen. Amen. I think John Wooden might have been a great president. Might have been. Don't know. Don't know. Ryan, welcome in. Are you wearing Cozy Earth, Ryan? What are you wearing there?
It might be. It might be. It's part of my water polo team, Masters.
All right.
We've talked about this previously.
Yes, sir. We have. Welcome in. Remind folks where you are. Say a big howdy, like your mini parole to Governor Kasich, and ask away.
Well, it's an honor to be on with you, Mr. Kasich. Before I ask my question, I want to
come from Star Trek or what? Look at that background.
It's just a blurred background. I don't know where it came from, honestly. But
and Ryan, tell the governor where you live.
San Jose, California.
San Jose.
Oh, I love San Jose.
Yeah.
You know, I loved it before they fixed the airport. Remember when you used to have to come down off the stairs and all that? It was such a great airport. Now, like everything else, they've modernized it. It's bigger, you know, blah, 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 not as personal.
It's like being in Brussels all of a sudden, not San Jose.
Yeah, it's one big, long airport. You got to walk a long ways. Yeah. I wanted to throw a shout out to my friend's company. That kettle behind you, Mark, to my right is Fellow Products. Great coffee company.
Yeah. You recognize the kettle behind me?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
It's a signature design.
I'm in a hotel room. I haven't really checked it out, but I'll go look. Is it made in America?
I can't claim that, but American designed.
American designed. All right. Good enough.
So I'm disappointed with the way that these 8 senators essentially from the perspective of a Democrat essentially gave in. It seems like the offer that they accepted was what Republicans have been offering the entire time, and there was no good faith discussions, quite frankly, about extending the subsidies. Mr. Kasich, you mentioned the fact that you would extend them yourself, or at least promote that idea. I really hope that Republicans do honor the idea of having a discussion about it and potentially extending them, but that is a big concern. A couple of topics that haven't come up yet. One, Elon Musk getting a $1 trillion potential pay package. That is astounding.
Even a football coach. He's not even a fired football coach, and he's getting $1 trillion,
Yeah, as John Gruden might say, the FFBL, fired football coaches of America. Trump's latest pardons. Another topic, pardoning basically the folks that were, in my opinion, perpetuating the lie that he won the 2020 election. I don't know, Mr. Kasich, if you have any thoughts there.
Those are state charges, so I don't know that it has any impact.
Yeah, those are 2 good topics. So maybe broaden out the second one, just a pardon power in general, abused in the view of some by both Joe Biden and Donald Trump. But first, start with the Musk compensation. Is that consistent with your view of America?
My view?
Yeah. I mean, what do you think of that? Do you think that's the market's deciding? So what? Or does it bother you in any way?
Tone deaf, I think, a little bit. I mean, remember we had the Gilded Age where all these people were making all this money and had all this wealth and everything. And then, we had the Johnstown flood happen. If you read about that, I recommended. David McCullough wrote a book about it, about how, safety was ignored and a lot of people died as a result of the flood and all that. Well, what happened is in the 20th century, there was a thing called the social gospel movement, which started to restore, according to Robert Putnam, it started to restore us from an I society, I, to a we society. And we began to make the changes that we needed in this country, laws around child labor, rights for women, a bunch of things. And it brought us together all the way through the 50s and into the 60s. And Putnam says we probably didn't pay enough attention to race at that time, and it kind of went away. I think we're living in an I culture right now. And, I want the last gasp of air. And I think a large part of this has come because, frankly, we have ignored the basic ethic this country was founded on, which was a Jewish and Christian ethic. You treat people the way you want them to treat you. Everybody's made in the image of God. You need to have a situation here where you have respect. That's where I think we've lost. And so, with these coaches making this kind of money for getting fired and him getting $1 trillion package and all that, yeah, you can always talk about market. But the great former Democrat once said that free enterprise that's not underlaid by a set of values is bankrupt. And I think that is, his name was Michael Novak. And I know that Mark knows who he is. He was a great theologian, Catholic theologian, worked at the American Enterprise Institute. That was his quote.
Yeah.
And I happen to buy that.
Yeah. And what about one of my favorite words, unfettered? The pardon power is unfettered.
I love that word, unfettered.
Yeah. And both Joe Biden and Donald Trump,
Isn't that guy in the Senate unfettered?
Yeah, unfettered man.
But let me go back to a second, Ryan, just for a second, to say to you, if you were there and you knew the Republicans were not going to ever respond on this healthcare issue, and at what point would you say there's too many people paying the price, and maybe, okay, people are going to say I capitulated, they're going to say I gave in or whatever. At what point would you say there's so much damage being done that I think we need to stop?
You make a great point, and I think we were at this point either between now or just before Thanksgiving. I think we were at that point. It's just disappointing that we are in a situation where Republicans would not even be willing to have that discussion.
I cannot believe it. In the old days, we would have cut a deal. But you know what? We don't have the leaders now. So we could say what we wanted about Bob Dole or Newt, or we could Trent Lott or any of these people, or Ronald Reagan or Bill Clinton. Look, I negotiated the balanced budget agreement with Pete Domenici. And yes, you sit down, you work things out. You just don't say it has to be my way, my way, my way. I mean, I understand the frustration. I really didn't know exactly how I feel about this until just a couple hours ago. I've been thinking about it. I've been calling people. I've been talking to Democrats. And, a lot of them are not, the ones I talked to, one, a very senior Democrat, it's like, get the government opened. You made your point. It's about health care. We'll carry into the midterms, and then we'll move on. I hope the Democrats are not just going to tear themselves apart by calling themselves turncoats or weakling. How stupid is that?
Are you a Quentin Tarantino fan? I can't remember.
I am not.
No,
I don't know.
You know the movie Pulp Fiction?
I never watched it, but I've heard of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know this thing where you go like this. This.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just trying to ask you one more time. Do you want to talk about the Trump pardons, or are you purposely ignoring it?
No, I mean, the pardons are the exclusive right of the president.
Unfettered.
I could pardon them. I could, I could let people. I could put people in a place when I was governor where I had power to do that. And look, you remember when Haley Barbour pardoned all those people down there in Mississippi? When you talk to them about it, you begin to understand it. It's one of the powers that I don't think we got to go to court to change. There's lots of others like this Supreme Court case now on the tariffs. It'll be interesting, but when it comes to pardons,
okay,
that's their prerogative.
Ryan, thank you. Grateful to you for
I
being
appreciate
part
the
of
time.
Very good,
Grateful.
Ryan.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
Alan, no pressure, but Ryan's questions were supremely good.
Yeah.
Over to you.
I don't know if they were.
I don't know.
No, yours will be good. Tell folks who don't know where you are and what's on your mind for Governor John Kasich of the Ohio State.
Yep, I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona. And Governor, first, I just want to say it is an honor to speak with you. I wrote you in 2016 because I truly believed that you would have been the best president.
Thank you. And
I
that he might have done me some good because he was so quiet the whole time. He didn't do anything.
Who was?
Nothing.
Who was? Who?
Halperin.
No, my goodness. I practically committed an FEC violation with in-kind contributions.
Now, I hope you'll get on my. You should get on my Substack. I know you're big devoted to Mark, and that's great. But check out mine too. Don't be.
No, actually, I had seen somewhere along the line that you had started that, and I was like, oh, I was going to add that to my list.
Thank you.
Now she will.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ellen, again, sorry, keep going. Floor is yours.
Oh, no, if you had a question. But otherwise, I was going to ask, and I think you sort of just answered the question. I had heard, I don't know if this is correct, that the House has only been in session for 12 days since July. And I don't know if that's true. But thinking about what you were saying regarding healthcare and getting all of the different people into the room,
Yes.
why hasn't that happened? And maybe you just answered the question by saying that we don't have the leadership, but there's got to be more than that.
Yes, that's all I can tell you. I mean, if I were the president, I would call all those people, but I would call the ones who I thought were oriented the right way. The ones who would say, yeah, I have an interest, but it's not all about my self-interest. And I would get hospitals and doctors and lawyers and insurance companies. I'd get them all in the room and say, I'll send you pizza, but you're not coming out till you come up with a plan that fundamentally changes the way we do healthcare in this country. I don't know why no one does that. I don't even know, including behavioral health, by the way.
Yes, totally agree. That is so important. But you know, even you could expand out from healthcare in all of the various issues. It doesn't seem like that.
You know, I think that part of it is, you know, what you're going to think this is really crazy, and I don't know what you'll think, Ellen. We don't have enough love.
Yeah, I understand that.
I mean, we need love because, you know, there's so many people. Maybe it's because of how I grew up. Maybe it's because of my faith. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe the Lord just gave me. When I see people who are hurting, it bothers the living daylights out of me. You know, I worry about these people. You know, they'll get a mom trying to raise 2 or 3 kids.
Yes.
I saw a lady walking on a path. She raised 5 boys. Her husband died when he was in his 40s. She raised 5 boys. I said, do your kids appreciate you? She said, they're starting to. Can you imagine what her struggles were like?
Yeah.
And so when I look at people who are struggling, I'm like, come on, we got to help these people.
Ellen, what were the traits you saw in Governor Kasich when you decided to vote for him for president? What were the traits?
Oh, you were normal. I liked your policies. I seem to remember one of the first debates, and of course, this is like almost, what is this, 9 years ago?
Yeah.
So I don't know if I can remember everything. I remember you did so well in the debates, and I immediately donated to your campaign after one of the debates, and I was like, and I'm not a big donator person. I was like, this is who I wanted.
Yeah. Really not. You know, one of the things that I found, Ellen, and I know that Mark saw this in New Hampshire, you know, I began to realize, you know, I read this about the candidates in both in New Jersey and in Virginia, the 2 women, and there's something special about women, you know, who they feel things that a lot of us people-head guys don't. But I learned in New Hampshire, it's about connecting with people. It's not what your balanced budget plan is, your tax plan or whatever. Yeah, that's all used as a way to lift people. But what people want to know is, I get you, I like you, you know, I care about you. That's what it is. And look, and I don't always slow down when I should to talk to somebody, but I try to do my best.
Yeah.
I fail all the time, but we need more love. All we need is love.
I totally agree with that. In my
title.
prior life, I did child and family therapy with children in the DCS foster care system, you know, very low income. And it was to know their stories and know their suffering, and to, you know, Arizona doesn't have the best social services, to try and help guide them through.
Ellen, you should help build one. Help build, take part which bothers you and go to your church, your synagogue, and your mosque and say, we need to fix this, and you will be amazed at what you can do.
Ellen, thank you for being on, Ellen. Grateful to you.
So
Susan, welcome in. This show is just a pure party, Governor. Susan, welcome in. Tell Governor Kasich, everybody else who doesn't know where you are and what's on your mind for John Kasich of the Ohio State.
I'm just showing off my 2-way.
Yeah, is that new? Did you just get it?
No, I've had a couple weeks.
So, Governor, we have a sponsor called Fairway and Green, makes golf apparel.
I know who Fairway and Green.
Okay, well, so they're our sponsor, and every time somebody you can get it with the 2-way logo or the Morning Meat logo. Everybody comes on, they all say the same thing. Susan, tell everybody how comfortable all that is.
It's very comfortable.
Yeah.
Very comfortable.
Very comfortable. It's the most
And
comfortable
I'm going to
stuff
play
you've ever
golf
worn.
really well when I'm wearing it too.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
part of the deal.
And
Wait,
Susan,
where do you live?
yeah, where do you live,
I
Susan?
live in upstate New York,
Ain't
a
no-
half an hour from Cooperstown, the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So just south of that, in the Leatherstocking region of New York. And I live in a little blue island in Cooperstown and Oneonta. It's surrounded by a sea of red.
Yeah. What's the
So
closest
I went to
lake?
Cooperstown for the Hall of Fame, and I was invited. My wife and I were invited by Bob Feller.
That's a big,
Good.
that's a big
That
honor.
was just so awesome
Yeah.
and so great.
Big honor.
And my wife is the biggest Tony Perez fan you could ever meet. I mean, her father used to take her down to, when she was a little girl, down to watch him in spring training. And then she followed him all the way and wrote him letters and all that. And when we got to the Hall of Fame ceremony, she started following him around. And I told the family, and Mark knows my wife, she's just a beautiful, nice woman. I told her, his son, I said, don't worry, she's not stalking your dad. Don't worry.
She sort
But
of
anyway,
was, basically.
Cooperstown has great memories for me.
Yeah. I went there
Yeah,
as a kid.
I
Big
took
place.
grandchildren there, and it was just so much fun to take them into the auditorium
Oh,
when you
yeah.
first go in, and they have that whole thing. I mean, that made my day. Just them being so excited. I mean, it really gets you pumped up about baseball.
Exactly.
Susan, I got two
By the
quick.
way, looking at one of the former MVPs of the congressional baseball game.
Yeah, that's true. Susan, I got two quick questions for you, and then the floor is yours to ask the governor a question or two. First of all, is that a quarter zip? What are you wearing there? Is that a jacket? What is it?
Yeah, it's not a zip, but the women don't have as many choices as the
I
men.
know. Believe
Yeah.
me, we've raised that.
I mean,
But
this
it's
was
it's a handsome piece. Second is, what's the closest lake to your house? Like Big Lake?
at Seagull Lake, which is right in Cooperstown.
Oh yeah, okay, that's beautiful. That is a beautiful lake. Can you swim in that lake, or is that just for watching?
Yeah, you can. You
Yeah.
weren't able to before, but
Now you can.
Zuni Oneonta, where I worked and where I went to school, they had a biological field station up there, and they were able
Yeah.
to get rid of all the invasive species that were turning
Fantastic.
the water. Yeah, it was a big project, but it
It's
worked
a,
out great.
it's a beautiful lake. All right, Susan, floor is yours for question,
Okay, I was just
comment.
going to tell John that I'm a lifelong Democrat. I was really upset with them after the election because I was getting so many texts. It was like 100 texts were lighting up my phone. So I thought, well, I'll avoid that and I'll become an independent. But the texts are still coming through. And I decided to rejoin the Democratic Party to see if I could make a difference. Anyway, so I was just, I have to tell you, I'm really proud of those 8 senators. It was like, we finally have 8 grown-ups in the Senate. So that was my reaction.
Okay, you should tell them, because you're about the only person I've heard besides the 8 and some of their family members, not all, who are pleased with what they
Yeah,
did.
I know. But you have to figure out whether they're running for re-election or not. Because I think Chuck Schumer needs an Oscar for his performance. I mean, it was just like
Pretending the whole thing was a shock to him.
oh, well, I both know,
Yeah,
and there, meanwhile, he had Dick Durbin. I mean, Dick Durbin was one of the 8. But anyway,
Yeah.
I was
I was
thrilled.
shocked to see that one. Weren't you, Mark?
No, I think that they needed an 8th vote. Nobody else wanted to do it, and he figured he's retiring, and he took one for the team, I guess. I don't know.
You shouldn't have to make hard decisions only when you're worried about re-election.
Yeah.
I think that
I
the
mean, it's-
Democrats need to think about how to win the war and not the battle. I mean, I think that's been said by a number of people. And AOC is not going to be elected. She might be the nominee, but she's not going to be a future president in the moment. You need someone like you were just saying, moderate.
She could change and become more moderate, but I don't.
I doubt
Susan,
that.
if you-
She's having
if you
too
could-
much fun,
Susan-
stalking around the country and putting
Susan,
on.
if you could pick the next president who's a Democrat, so you can't pick Governor Kasich, who would you pick if you could just make somebody president who was constitutionally eligible?
Probably Andy Bashir, but I don't think he has the charisma,
Yeah.
I mean, just as a person, he would be my choice, but does he have that whole media savvy thing that you need right now?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to get some really good media people to throw all that stuff out there for him. Of course, stuff that he approved of, but I saw him on Bill Maher and he was really flat.
Susan, what if he talks about stories though? And,
We'll try it. I just say it was on Bill Maher. He had
Yeah.
every opportunity to be funny and he was
Yeah.
flat.
Governor, have you
And
ever,
I
have you
haven't
ever,
been
yeah. Governor, have you ever listened to Andy Bashir's podcast?
I have not.
Okay, I recommend it to you.
Okay.
Just as
I will.
a data point.
All
I
right.
recommend it to you. Just to be clear, I'm recommending it to you as a data point, not as a form of entertainment.
Susan, I was on Bill Maher several times, maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
It was always a hoot.
Yeah, I think he's hilarious right now. He's really going after the
I
Democrats.
used to go on The View all the time. And one
Yeah.
time, I think I was a host one time, a guest host.
I think you were. I remember that. Susan, thank you for joining. Grateful to you.
Sure is
One
that.
more,
Thank you.
one more,
Bye, Susan.
one more spot for one more
Fairways and
sponsor.
greens.
And then a
Fairways
couple,
and greens.
Fairway and Green, and then a couple more questions for Governor Kasich. Governor, you'll really love our last sponsor, cbdistillery.com. For nights when you just can't find a way to sleep or relax, maybe you're dragging the next day. CB Distillery can make a difference. The products of CB Distillery offer you a solution to work with your body, no fillers, just clean ingredients, premium CBD. 2 million people, over 2 million people trust the products from CB Distillery. Now is your chance to see if they help you relax, sleep better, feel good in your own skin, the way John Kasich does. He doesn't need anything because he's naturally comfortable, but not everybody is. Go to cbdistillery.com right now. Use the promo code two-way, save 25% off. 25% off your entire order, cbdistillery.com. Promo code two-way. It's an opportunity to try something that, again, has been effective for over 2 million people. cbdistillery.com. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, cbdistillery.com, promo code two-way. And now we hear from Noah. Noah, welcome in the dark. Noah's in the dark. Noah, tell everybody where you are in the dark and what's on your mind for John Kasich.
Yeah, I just pulled in my driveway and I was listening on YouTube and I switched to the Zoom.
Yeah, welcome in.
Because I wanted to ask Governor Kasich a question. So
no, tell everybody where you live.
I live in Dayton area, Dayton metro area,
Okay.
just outside of Dayton.
And Dave, did you live there when the governor was governor?
I did. Yep, I voted
Yeah,
for him.
How were your property taxes?
I feel like Ohio's a pretty reasonably inexpensive place to live. I mean, costs go up, but comparative to other places that I've lived in the country, I think it's pretty reasonable.
Who's the best governor of Ohio in your lifetime? Probably Dick Celeste.
No, I mean, I think that Governor Kasich actually was a
Okay.
very good governor.
There you go. There you go. Nailed it.
That is
Governor-
so. But
Governor-
wait a minute. But
Go
let
ahead.
me say
Go
to
ahead.
you, Noah. Let me say this. When I ran for governor, I said I wanted to get rid of the income tax. Well, we've reduced it so much now that it's really not that critical. But the biggest tax issue in Ohio are the property taxes. They're through the roof.
That's why I raised it.
How did you know that, Halperin?
I'm a reporter. I talk to people.
This is such
I mean,
fun. It's a fun.
Governor, how well do you know Dayton, Governor?
I know Dayton pretty well. You know, they had a great basketball team down there.
Yeah.
And the Wright brothers, by the
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
they created flight in Dayton.
Yeah, not in North
Not
Carolina.
in North Carolina. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Noah, do you live in town or in like a fancy suburb or something? Did Noah freeze?
No, it's
It's a cliffhanger. Noah, you there? No.
No, it's
Yeah.
gone.
Oh, Noah.
Hello,
you
hello,
live-
I'm here.
all right,
I'm here.
All right. You live in the suburbs or in the
Yeah.
city?
I live in the suburbs, out in
Yeah.
the country.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what's on your mind
So-
for your former governor?
So I know you're a big proponent of the public-private partnerships, and when you were governor, and I wondered kind of what your thoughts are on kind of some of the flirting around the edges that President Trump is doing with Intel and with the materials company for rare earths, and if there could be an expansion of that.
You mean
Where-
where he wants to be, where he's an investor? He wants the government to be an investor?
Yeah, and
I'm not for
you know,
that.
I'm no expert on it, but
Yeah.
you know, some of the public-private partnerships that you did have been pretty successful and spurred a lot of investment
Well,
and
like
kind of
Jobs Ohio.
um,
No, but Jobs Ohio is a private organization created for the sole purpose of economic growth. And we got people who actually understand business to work in there. And that's why it's worked so well. And I'm trying to make it work in West Virginia, believe it or not. But I think whenever you can do a public-private partnership, it depends what it is and who's going to benefit, who's going to gain, all that kind of stuff, Noah. So
you don't feel like there's there's a way to implement some of that without it being socialism. I mean, I don't want the government
I'm
to
not
control
for-
the means of
yeah.
production or anything.
government. I'm not for the federal government owning shares of U.S. That's not the job of government, in my opinion. So I just don't agree with that.
So, do you think that just the outright subsidies are that investment and then hands off? Because it seems,
I mean, if you
it
want to
seems like
get the federal government debt under control, that'll lead to lower interest rates, which will spur things. I mean, those are the things we have to do because we're on a road to bankruptcy, which really concerns me deeply. No, that's what it does.
No,
yeah,
thank
me
you.
too.
Grateful to you, Noah. Thank you. All right, Governor, let's go viral. Impress your future sons-in-law. Word association, 1 or 2 words. Just first thing that comes to your fertile mind. Ready? Here we go. JD Vance.
Vice President of the United States.
That's what we call in Ohio Farms chicken shit. Vivek Ramaswamy.
They're probably going to be governor.
Yeah. What do you think of him?
I don't know him. Don't know these guys.
Has he reached out to you for advice?
No, but I have friends that talk to him and advise.
Yeah, I bet. Okay. Stephen Miller.
Not happy about immigration, what he's doing there.
Okay. New Hampshire primary.
Sununu is going to win that all the way.
No, I don't mean the Senate primary. I mean the presidential primary. You a fan of that? You like when they go
Oh,
first?
I love it.
Yeah. Are you concerned that it's not a very diverse state?
No, what I love about New Hampshire is you can meet everybody in the state, and after you see them 4 times, they want another 5th try to figure out if they like you or not.
Yeah. Now I know you know John Sununu. Do you know Chris Sununu well too?
I don't know him as well, but I know Chris. But John, John is my pal.
Yeah. Great guy, John Sununu.
Yes.
Who's a better political athlete, Chris Sununu or John Sununu?
I think the father's probably the best of all because he's the coach. Yeah.
He's the coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
What did that one?
Yeah. Nicely handled. If you were advisor to Chuck Schumer, would you have advised him to handle this way or a different way?
I think Chuck's had a great career. I think probably he's going to be forced out, but he shouldn't, I think it's a tough job, what he was doing. I happen to like Schumer. I mean, I'll make my Republican friends go crazy when I say things like that, but I think he's going to be forced out. And I just hope that he can go with his head up high, and he's had a great career. I used to be in the House when he was in the House. I mean,
now you're very generous. You're very generous with your advice. So what's the one line of advice you give to the following people? Ready? Here we go. Mayor-elect Mamdani. So one line of advice you give him.
listen to a lot of people in New York City who may not agree with you, but are respectable, good people.
Okay. Donald J. Trump.
You mean our president?
Yeah. What advice would you give him? One line of advice.
I think I would say, you know, be more compassionate, or be compassionate.
Yeah. Bill Belichick.
Oh, wow. Knock it off.
Knock it off. Okay. Elon Musk.
Brilliant, but you know,
What advice would you give him?
I would say he should call me and we should have a chat.
Interesting. Do you know him at all?
I do not.
You do not. Gavin Newsom. What advice would you give him?
Tour the middle of America and listen.
Yeah. George Stephanopoulos.
Oh, George. Boy, what advice would I give George? In what way? On what thing? You know?
I don't know. What do you think he needs advice on?
I like George. I mean, I don't have anything that pops.
What was George's first job on Capitol Hill?
I don't know, but I know. Well, I mean, I know he's from Cleveland to begin with.
Yeah, he worked for a congressman from Ohio. Ed Fan. Is that how I pronounce his name?
Ed Fan.
Ed Fan.
Yeah,
All right. Lastly, advice you give to Tucker Carlson.
I have just nothing to say about this.
Nothing to say. All right. Very grateful to you for joining. We love having you on. We hope you'll come back. We got you at least 3 new Substack subscribers. I know.
You know, it's tough, but you know what, Mark? Your show is so much fun.
We're meant to be fun. We're meant to be fun.
And are you doing it every day? Yes.
Yes, sir. Not on the weekends, at least not yet.
Are you getting tired?
Am I getting tired? No, not yet.
And you're enjoying it.
I enjoy talking to everybody. All right, lastly, what advice would you give me?
I think what advice I would give you, let's give me just a second.
Yeah, listen to Jesus more.
Just always appreciate the ups and downs of life.
Yes, sir. Good advice. Grateful to you for coming on. I hope you'll come back regularly.
I will,
really enjoy seeing you. Give my best to the missus.
I will.
All right. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.
All right, Governor John Kasich of the Ohio State. Love having him on. Loved everybody being here. I'll be back in a few hours at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with Sean and Dan. If Secretary Duffy makes it happen, I'll be able to fly home to New York City, and I'll see you from there. And of course, the new episode of Next Up tomorrow. My guest is Ben Shapiro. Looking forward to talking to Ben Shapiro about pretty much everything. Grateful to you all for being part of the two-way community. I'll see you at 9 a.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Have a good night, everyone.